Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to start by recognizing some of my constituents who are in the audience. They are Iranian Americans who are staunchly opposed to the Iranian regime, who have shed light on Iran's nuclear program through the unveiling of information on different Iranian nuclear facilities. Many have relatives in Camp Ashraf, and I raised with Assistant Secretary of State Feltman a few weeks ago the need for the administration to ensure that the Iraqi government lives up to its human rights commitment and protects the residents of Camp Ashraf. Welcome. With respect to Iran, Mr. Chairman, as we all know, the United States must have one vital objective, and that is to stop the regime's pursuit of nuclear and other unconventional weapons and the missiles to deliver them, its sponsorship of terrorism, and other activities that threaten Americans, our interests, and our allies. However, since the 1990s, the U.S. and international efforts to stop the growing Iranian threat have been half-hearted at best, with results to match. The problem is not that a tough approach has failed, but that it has yet to be fully tried. The sanctions were not fully implemented or enforced. Then the focus was not on measures the U.S. could easily take, but instead on persuading the so-called international community to act collectively. Collectively meaning agreeing to the lowest common denominator while continuing to cultivate ties with the regime in Tehran. Russia, of course, has a long record of cooperation with Iran on missiles and on nuclear matters, particularly its construction of the Bushehr reactor, which is scheduled to come online in January. To secure Russian cooperation, the current and previous administrations have resorted to a series of concessions to Moscow. What did we buy at so great a price? Tacit support for UN sanctions and, quote, assurances, end quote, that Russia will wrap up investments in Iran's energy sector and that Russia will not, at this time, proceed with its sale of advanced missiles to Iran. Of course, despite all of our concessions, Russia has indeed offered a nuclear cooperation agreement and advanced missile sales to the Syrian regime. China is another key ally and protector of Iran and has made it clear that it will prevent significant pressure to be placed on Tehran. Chinese companies are eagerly expanding their trade with and investments in Iran, many taking advantage of opportunities created by Western and other companies which are curtailing or finally severing their ties. Recent reports indicate that China has actively facilitated North Korea's providing Iran with advanced missiles and ingredients for chemical weapons in violation of UN Security Council sanctions. But support for Iran comes from other places as well. Determined to demonstrate its growing distance from the U.S., Turkey has publicly embraced Tehran, increased its economic cooperation, signed a major gas pipeline deal, and tried to undermine U.S. efforts to stop the Iranian threat, including voting against UN Security Council Resolution 1929. Turkey recently prevented NATO from designating Iran as a missile threat to be countered with a proposed anti-missile shield, despite Tehran's expanding missile capabilities. Armenia is expanding financial, trade, transport, and energy cooperation with Iran. Unfortunately, securing effective action by one administration after another has been an uphill battle. For over 14 years since the passage of the Iran Sanctions Act, only one determination of sanctionable activity has ever been made, and the resulting penalties were immediately waived. Efforts to strengthen existing laws were opposed by each administration, citing a reluctance to tie the president's hands or upset other countries who want to keep doing business with Tehran. This past June, after a long, hard-fought struggle, the Comprehensive Iran Sanctions Accountability and Divestment Act, CISADA, was enacted. Although weaker than some of us had hoped, this law could represent a major step forward, especially through its energy, refined petroleum, and financial sanctions. This congressionally driven effort has led some countries, including the EU, Japan, Australia, and South Korea, to finally impose their own, albeit more limited, sanctions on Tehran. On the financial front, the actions taken by foreign governments to sever their ties with the Iranian financial institutions and other Iranian entities designated as involved in Iranian proliferation and sponsorship of terrorism is encouraging. Undersecretary Levy, let me again thank you and your team at Treasury for your pivotal role in these developments and your years of dedication in acting against the Iranian regime and its enablers. Thank you, sir. I am, however, concerned that history may be repeating itself regarding the State Department's implementation efforts. For example, the law requires the administration to investigate, upon receiving credible evidence, suspected sanctionable foreign investment in Iran's energy sector. The U.S. has known for years about Chinese energy investment in Iran, but only this past September did the administration initiate investigations of sanctionable activity, yet state still refuses to publicly disclose whether Chinese companies are among the targets. The State Department has issued one determination under SASADA, just one, imposing the minimum number of sanctions on NICO, an Iranian subsidiary, for its role in Iran's petroleum sector. Likewise, the administration has listed and sanctioned just 8 Iranian regime officials responsible for human rights abuses. We've wasted enough time, 14 years. No more waivers, exceptions, or excuses. We cannot live with a nuclear Iran. We must ensure that the tools we have are used to their maximum effectiveness and look for new means of compelling Iran to cease activities that threaten our security, our interests, and our allies. I'm not just referring to this nuclear pursuit, but also to its state sponsorship of terrorism. Of particular concern is Iran's support for Hezbollah in Lebanon, Mr. Chairman, which has threatened violence if, as expected, its operatives are indicted for the assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Hariri, has amassed an arsenal of about 50,000 rockets, and participates in and has veto power over the current Lebanese government. I would ask Undersecretary Burns what the U.S. is doing to address this situation before it becomes a full-blown crisis and Hezbollah takes over completely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll ask the administration also about the continued military assistance to the Lebanese armed forces. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the witnesses.